Hi, I'm Dr. Barbara Mitra, and I'm just going to talk about gender and music, and this is for the module Gender, Philosophy and Popular Culture here at the University of Worcester. So, the first thing I want to talk about is that men tend to have dominated the profession. That actually, particularly in the West, before about 1850s, most orchestras refused to employ women, and it was thought improper for a woman to perform in public. Women were encouraged to play instruments like the harp or played as an accompaniment to the voice to entertain friends and family at home. So women were discouraged from playing instruments such as drums or woodwind or brass. Today, though, there are increasing numbers of women who are employed in professional orchestras, and they do play a wider number of instruments. But they don't still equal the number of male musicians, it's argued, particularly in relation to composers and conductors, even though there are more girls learning to play instruments, particularly at school. But it's argued that things like technical producers, songwriters, singers, technicians tend to be more male. And that's despite some of the female-centric bands and festivals that have happened. Different genres of music carry different histories and different performance practices. So, thinking about rock music, it's argued that rock was created and performed by men, and that actually it exemplifies a very masculine culture, because particularly the musical instruments that are employed, such as electric guitars or drums, and the type of song structure. But rock itself is difficult to define, it's argued, because of the so many different subgenres and because of the development of rock over quite a long period of time. And Frith and McRobbie argue that the music in rock is loud, that it's rhythmically insistent, the lyrics that are assertive and arrogant. So they also kind of associate harsh guitar and vocal sounds with masculinity. There's also an assumption that rock should be interpreted as heterosexual, that performers appeal to an aggressive form of heterosexuality. I mean, obviously, we can think about these ideas and perhaps find things that challenge some of these ideas as well. When we think about indie music, it's sometimes referred to as alternative rock, and it's been understood as being more open to female participation than other rock forms. So it's not associated with an overt masculinist agenda, it's argued. But some argue that the culture of the music industry is actually what produces this gendered culture. That even within indie music, that actually it's just allowed more women to be in the workplace rather than being less masculinist. And one study into heavy metal music suggests that despite the macho aggressive style, that there are feminine elements marked by things like long curly hair, makeup, hairless bodies, soft velvet clothing and jewellery, and actually that some of these may contradict the masculine language, movements and behaviour. But actually, Densky and Scholl suggest that the blurred gender codes in heavy metal are not a subversion of traditional masculinity. Instead, they reproduce traditional masculine roles of power and domination. So heavy metal has signs of aggressive male heterosexuality. So there's bad behaviour expected and required of heavy metal bands. So, and this is expressed in lyrics, in album covers, in offstage conduct, it's argued. So the signs of femininity, it's argued, are used to signify a rebellion against authority and dominant culture in general, rather than challenging gender dichotomies. And then, of course, rap has been written about extensively. So many studies look at how rap artists portray women in their music in a misogynistic and sexually objectified way. We can also look at female artists as well. In relation to gangster rap, it's particularly characterised by self-centred and misogynistic ideas. And there are three themes that are prominent, which are self-promotion, using sex to sell music, and appealing to sexist audience members by selling stereotypes of women in their music. Florent highlights that there's a vicious cycle in rap music where male artists degrade women in their music and women artists and audience members accept this. So women take one of two paths. They either become the sexual stereotype put forward by gangster rap, or they try to write progressive and educational lyrics while not promoting themselves as sexual. It's argued that the predominance of men has created problems of access and opportunity for women. There are instruments that females and males tend to play. So the role of pop singer or folk vocalist accompanied by an acoustic guitar, it's argued, taps into and reinforces notions of femininity. Female musicians who depart from conventional feminine gender identities have been seen as subversive, it's argued. And the type of instruments that are associated with being masculine include particularly things like drummers. And I couldn't resist putting a photo of one of my old bands here with myself playing the drums. And of course, there are many musicians and artists that challenge or highlight various issues in relation to gender. So, for example, Madonna has been written about in terms of being fluid and ambiguous in relation to sexuality and gender identity. So, exposing femininity as a masquerade. But Prince works at constructing images by refuting conventional made dress codes, for example. He reconstructs masculinity, it's argued, in his performances. And of course, David Bowie has had many transformations. And regarding sexuality, he married a woman, he came out as gay, he came out as bisexual, he divorced his wife, he claimed he was a closet heterosexual, he married a woman. He wasn't quite masculine, wasn't quite straight, wasn't quite gay, wasn't quite bisexual, it's argued, but all of them together, so embodying various contradictions. And of course, there have been others that you could look at. So, and of course, Lady Gaga has been written about in various ways with regards to things like asexuality, etc. And I'm sure there are many more that you can think of. There are many references and many academic sources that you can draw on to look at and explore and analyse this rich area of music in relation to gender.